An army vet who once did time for killing a commanding officer was arrested for a decades-old double murder of two teenage boys in Oregon, officials said. Stephen Paul Chris, now 65, allegedly gunned down 16-year-old Donnie Barton and 18-year-old Pete Zito Jr. in an execution-style shooting in a rec center parking lot in 1974, cops said this week. The boys' bodies were found the following morning by an Oregonian newspaper delivery driver. Barton had been working on the engine of a 1956 Oldsmobile when he was shot. His body was found slumped over under the open hood. Zito was found lying on the ground next to the driver's door. Both teens had been shot multiple times in the head with a .22 caliber gun, case lead det. Mark Powolny said at a Friday press conference. Chris and Barton were co-workers at the Black Angus restaurant in Hillsborough, but did not get along, police said. Although officers knew Chris had reason to be upset with Donnie, for which they could not disclose, they pursued another suspect. Joseph Amir Wilson was arrested and charged with the double murder, but continuously pleaded innocence. Wilson allegedly assaulted another individual at the recreational center a few hours before Barton and Zito were killed, and officers believed Wilson shot the boys in a case of mistaken identity. He was later released without conviction. Chris became a suspect after the sheriff's office arrested him for theft 2 months after the murder and found a .22 caliber gun inside his car, Powolny said. After testing, however, the cops couldn't match the gun to the murder scene. The gun was returned to Chris, who then took it with him to the Fort Lewis United States Army base in Washington and used it to kill his commanding officer, Sergeant Jacob Kim Brown, nearly 2 years to the date that Barton and Zito were killed. The cadet shot his boss in the head 5 times over an argument, police said. Chris had damaged Brown's car and killed him instead of paying for repairs. Chris was sentenced to 35 years in jail but was released after 12. Washington County sheriffs decided to reopen the double murder case 48 years later and rerun ballistics on the gun Chris used to kill Brown. This time, it was a match. Chris, who had been living in Iowa, was arrested and charged with 2 counts of second-degree murder, the department said. Mr. Chris was taken into custody using the same pair of handcuffs used when deputies arrested him in December 1974, Powolny said. According to the detective, the gun match is the oldest known match nationwide that the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, Firearms and Explosives has ever confirmed.